How's it going, guys? Odds and Ends RC here. Please like and subscribe. Today we're going to be completing the CC-02 build, at least the chassis. We'll have a complete rolling chassis when we're done, and we'll save the body and electronics for another video. But I already got the main chassis and transmission finished. You can check out my last video. And today we're going to be doing the front and rear axle, the 4-link setup, front and rear, drive shafts, and assembling the shocks. Probably throw the wheels and tires on it too. Just pretty much completing most of the build. Alright, stick around. I'll put you on time lapse, and then I'll pause here and there to kind of show you what I run into. Thanks. Alright guys, I'll catch you up to speed here. Ran into a few issues. I got everything on it. I don't have the shocks built yet. But for one thing I noticed, when you put the axles under the car, you're going to notice that the front axle sits kind of straight, and that the rear axle sits at an angle. And I thought I had something wrong, but I went back, looked through the instructions, and found there's a picture of it on the box already built, and I did it right. That's just the way it's made. If you were to flip this around and get it straight like the front axle, then it would be rotating the wrong direction. So keep that in mind. It doesn't look right, but that's just the way it is. Another thing, it's kind of got me wondering, we'll figure it out when I get the shocks on it, is the drive shaft here is extremely close to this link mount. And when you get to kind of twisting around on it, you know, I can make it rub that link mount. So we'll just kind of have to see what it is once I get the springs on it, and see how it is. Not the only other thing you got to watch out for is when you join the halves together for the front end and the rear end, there's nuts you put in on the inside of the axle before you join them together. Let's see. See right here in the book, these nuts kind of fit down in little grooves down there. I couldn't get the case halves to fit together tight, and then I figured out that these nuts, you gotta be careful when you put them in. Like the point, it's a 6-sided nut. One of the sides, one of the points needs to be standing straight up in the air, and one of the points needs to be in the middle, down at the bottom. If you don't have it turned quite the right way, the axle won't want to go all the way together, and you don't quite notice it. You got to pay attention. Just make sure they got it right in the picture. Just make sure where the point points straight up in the air, and then the bottom point points directly down in the bottom of the axle. Sounds kind of confusing, but you'll understand it once you get to that step. If the axles doesn't quite seat all the way together, then that's your issue there. Everything else pretty straightforward. I locked the rear axle. It has steps in the directions if you want to lock it. So I locked it and made a solid axle out of that. Then the front axle I built open. I'm going to try it like that. And instead of using their grease in the front one, I use this real thick differential grease. It's usually like in a crawler, I don't know, and other stuff. They come in like a 35 weight or something like that, 35,000 weight. This is really thick. It's 100,000 weight, and it lets the differential slip, but it's still a little bit tighter than normal. But I'm going to try that out and see how it works. But everything else is the same, Didn't run into too many weird issues. These link mounts that bolt onto the axle, pay close attention to those when you're putting them on. Make sure they're pointed the right direction. It kind of gets flipped around from the top to the bottom whenever they're showing you how to mount the links. So it'll fool you and thinking you got it one direction when it's supposed to go to another. Just pay careful attention to them, and you'll get it figured out. But alright, I'm going to get the shocks together and a few other odds and ends, and then we'll close the video shortly. Alright guys, I got the main chassis together, the drivetrain, got everything except for the speed control. First off, I started cutting out the body, just got the wheel wells and stuff cut out, so I'm going to run these magnetic mounts so I don't have to have body post holes. And one thing you gotta be careful about, I noticed, is in the front, if you'll notice, the factory dots where they want you to drill the body post holes don't quite line up. They're not quite center. If you use that, the wheelbase was going to be off like 1/4 of an inch. The front tire was going to be too close to the back of the fender here, which not a big deal for me. I'm going to use the magnetic mounts, but keep that in mind. Just double check it before you cut the holes. These are the mounts I was telling you about. I got them off of eBay. They're about $8 shipped. They're just called like SCX10 magnetic body mounts. Amazon has them too. But those go on top of your post mounts, and then you glue these little guys to the bottom of your body. And you end up with magnetic mounts so you don't have the holes in your body. But other than that, I have a 4,000 milliamp hour 3-cell battery in there. I'm just seeing how it fit, and that's about all the bigger 3-cell you can fit in there. It's pretty tight. It fills it up pretty good. I'm sure you can go a bigger 2-cell, but that's what I got laying around. That's what I could fit in there. These body posts, they're about, I'd say, a good 4 to 5 inches taller when you first put them on. You got to cut them down for the body, so you can put a many of different bodies on this thing. The shocks went together pretty good. I was pretty happy with them. I'll be replacing them in the future, but they're not bad for a stock Tamiya shock. Got plenty of travel. This thing's got quite a bit of travel to it, actually. I was worried about the front drive shaft. I thought it was going to hit this link mount here, but it barely clears on suspension travel. It looks like it's going to hit, but it clears it. Not an issue. Everything's really smooth. That's one thing about a Tamiya drivetrains. It's always really smooth. Just make sure when you get one of these kits, you buy the bearing kit for it. Because if you had to go back and put in all the bearings later, you'd have to take apart everything, pretty much start over. So you might as well get them from the beginning, spend $20, buy them, and put them in there from the beginning. Other than that, I'm pretty happy with everything. Next video, I'll have all the electronics in. I'll have the body done, and it will be completely finished. But yeah, just thought I'd go over it, show you the final product. I did do left the front differential open. As you can see in a previous video, I used that really thick, might be in this video, I used that real thick differential grease, and it kind of gives you, it doesn't give as easy as if you were just to use grease. I think it'll help out a lot, and plus still be able to turn pretty sharp. Yeah, let me know what you think. If you guys got one, anything you did different than the instructions. I'm gonna go ahead and finish this thing, and I'll have a finished video up next. If you like, please subscribe. Thanks.